HubSpot's AI features are only as good as the data that you give them. Part of this is, of course, how clean your data in the CRM system is, but that's for another video because that's an entire video in and by itself. But it's also what information do you give HubSpot to really optimize the different AI features specifically for your business. Most portals have these settings half configured or completely empty, which means that every AI generated email, content suggestion, and recommendation is just generic. And here's how to fix that in under 15 minutes. Let me share my screen and show you exactly how to change this in HubSpot. So when you're in your HubSpot portal, you want to go to Settings here at the top, and then on the left-hand side under Account Management, you're going to see AI. So first of all, you'll see the different AI access toggles. So if you want AI to work in the most optimal way, you might want to give it access to all of these different data categories right here. And then you can also choose to give users access to Breeze Assistant, which I would also recommend because it's a huge time saver. So this is the basics, but then under data sources, this is where most accounts are missing a lot. So the first one that we have here in the first step is the brand kit. If your HubSpot account does not have a brand kit, make sure to fix that right now. The brand kit is mostly what you can see in this little window here, which is already gonna customize a lot of things in HubSpot for you, making it really easy to have everything stay on brand. So when you set up a form, very easy to select your brand colors. When you need your logo, it's always ready to go. And when you have your custom fonts, you're also able to select those very easily. This is partly also used for AI, but the AI part really comes from the brand voice here, as well as additional context. As you can see here at the top, you also have the option when you first set this up to crawl your website, and HubSpot will already learn more about your brand identity just from crawling your website, pre-fill a lot of this information and save you a lot of time. So that might be a good place to start. Let that run, and as soon as that's ready, you can review if everything looks right. So the first thing here is brand voice, and this is where we can choose how the AI will write certain texts, for example, and write emails. So we have a bunch of different options here, like charismatic, curious, helpful, down to earth. It's like an option we see here. So there's a bunch of options. In this case, I'm just going to select supportive and trustworthy. And then maybe we'll also add dynamic in there as well. So you can see you can select 4 characteristics max. So we'll leave it at these 3 for now. By the way, like as I go through this, the fictional company that we're working with, because we're in my demo account here, it's called Relay. It's a B2B SaaS platform that helps mid-market companies manage internal communications. So that's what we're going to use for some of the things that we're going to be filling in here. So then the default tone, we can choose what that will be as well. So for example, we chose educational, professional, and conversational. But as you can see, we can even make it funny if we're more trying to be like a Wendy's, for example. Although like Wendy's might be described a little bit differently as well. But I guess it would be funny, quirky. We have some options. In this case, educational, professional, and conversational is exactly what we need. Then for the mission, this is where you can share your mission statement. So let's, for the sake of this demo, just use what I had here. So that would be more something like, we help mid-market companies manage their internal communications. So we'll do it like that for now. Then if we have any terms to avoid, we can add those terms in here. So there's specific terms that you really want to make sure that the AI never uses in any of the text. You can add those in here. Then for replacement rules, so here we can add any replacement rules. So any word that the AI wants to use, you can replace it by a different word. So it works exactly the same as you would use it in Word, for example. And then for inclusivity, you can also, for example, use general neutral nouns and pronouns when the subject's gender is unknown or not relevant. And we can have some other options here as well to select. Then when we scroll down, we can add some additional context here, which will come from that initial website crawl. Like, for example, what industry are we in? So for example, we are a SaaS company, so I'm going to fill that out here. Then the sub-industry, we could say business software. Then for the industry group, so we could add an industry group here. Let's say that would be software. And you can see like the more you fill in, the more accurate the system will be over time, but we'll leave it to those for now. Then we can also add some things about customer sentiment. So for example, we can add a net promoter score here. To be totally honest, I'm not 100% sure how that would be used exactly. But if you're running Net Promoter Score, you can add that score in here, and that will be used by the AI as well. We have positive brand associations and negative brand associations that we can add. We can also add our competitive advantages as well as who our main competitors are. So for example, if we're managing internal communications, Slack could be one of our main competitors. And as you can see here, like we can list multiple competitors right here, and that will give the AI a little bit more context. And then we can give some competitive advantages. For example, let's say specific focus on healthcare. Then for the content themes, we can choose the primary content topics and content format types. So we can add those in here as well. We can add our tech stack, and we can also add social responsibility related information like supported social causes and sustainability initiatives. So when you fill all of this out, your AI is already going to perform a lot better, but then we can also optimize that for specific channels. So for example, if you want your blog to use a different tone, you can then change the tone of voice specifically for your blog posts. And you can do this for blogs, case studies, email, pages, podcasts, and social media. So if you want your social media to be a little bit more quirky, you can add that in here. And then for the data sources, this will actually bring us back to where we were before. We get to the second tab here where we add in our company name. So in this case, that gets taken from our account defaults. So actually I'm going to keep that to HubSpot Excellence for now. Then we add the company domain name as well as the industry that we're in. So then we have the option to add our ICP as well. So we can create a new ICP. We can add here that we're focused on the mid-market. So let's say mid-market healthcare. Here we can add in some job titles of the people that we're targeting. So for example, it could be IT director. And let's say we also want to target the HR leader as well as the COO. Then the industry would be healthcare. The location, so here we can choose, for example, if we want to specifically work within the United States and let's say Canada, we can add that in there as well. Then for the company size, so let's say we focus on companies between 51 and 250 employees, and then with a revenue of 1 to 10 million. Actually, that seems a little bit off, so let's do something like this. And then for the age range for ICP, we could say that that's, for example, between 35 and 54. And then we can also add some additional interests there as well. So if we know interests of our specific ICP, we can add that information here. And then we can give it some additional information, which then will be used to really tailor the AI features towards our ICP. So that's, for example, specifically helpful when you're using the prospecting agent as an example. Then we go to product and services. So here we can add our value proposition as well as which pain points our company solves. And then we can also add an itemized list of our products and services. So this way the AI also knows exactly which products and services that we're selling. User profile is something specific to the user looking at these settings. So this would be job title, for example. This comes directly from the preferences here in the user settings. So that is something that gets taken from the user specifically. Get me back. Then we also have our buyer profile. So here we can add our buyer profile with then our qualification framework of choice, being it band or medic. So that is an interesting one to fill out here, which is especially useful in the sales process. And then we also have a selling profile, specifically for any sales related content. We can add that selling profile in here. If you already fill out all of these settings, you're already way ahead of most HubSpot accounts at that point. But there's one more specifically that I want to show you, and that's when we scroll down a little bit. You can see it's currently still marked as beta, but we have the markets here. So this is where you can add your total addressable market. So for example, let's use our mid-market healthcare here. So then industries, we can type in, let's say, hospital and healthcare. Then for the country, we were focused on the US and Canada. For the employee range, we set between 11 and 50. So you can see that the number at the top here for total addressable market changes as we fill these things out. So for example, if you want to focus on a couple of specific states, for example, let's say we want to focus on New York and Florida. So now we can see we have 10,875 companies. Then you can also do things like specific web technologies or specific revenue. So as we said, I think in our example, we said between 1 and 10 million. You will see it's still the same size. So all of those companies seem to be in that range. And then you can add some additional company keywords here. It's a little bit of a difficult one for me. So let's say we focus on skincare, for example. Then we have just 138 companies now. We might have some other options in here as well. Let's say nutrition is another part of it. Then we have 160. So you can fill that out. Once you're done with all of these settings, you can create that market. And this is though something that you can use throughout the CRM as well. As you will see here, HubSpot will also be able to detect how many of those companies you have in the CRM system. And then the main place where that's used afterwards is when you go to marketing and then buyer intent. So this is where you'll be able to use the total addressable market. So when we go to research here, for example, targets markets, and then in my target market, here you can select that target market that we just created, which will then filter this view. And any company within the target market that visits your website, even when they do not fill out a form, you'll be able to see that right here. And you can start working on that. We also have signals, etc. here under buyer intent, but that's a whole other video altogether. Then one last thing that I want to show you right after you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more HubSpot excellence is that you can also create custom assistants in HubSpot. So when we go to Breeze here and then Breeze Studio, you can see that we can go to assistants here and then you can create an assistant. Just like you can create a custom GPT in ChatGPT, you can create an assistant here which we can train to do a specific thing for us. For example, if you want to create an assistant specifically to check the qualification for certain deals, we can set up that entire assistant here, give it specific instructions, train it to do just that, and this will be very helpful to your salespeople to then easily qualify any deals using that specific framework that we trained this assistant with. If that's something you want to see more about, let me know in the comments below and I'll do a separate video where we create a specific assistant to be used in HubSpot. Also, if you want to learn more about assistants before that video gets published, might probably be one of the subjects in my upcoming newsletter, so make sure to subscribe to my HubSpot Excellence newsletter down in the description. If you like this video, you're definitely gonna like this video right here, which is how you can use HubSpot's AI to research your leads for you. So make sure to watch that video. Again, my name is Jasper, I'm a certified HubSpot consultant, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.